friends, in this video we will talk about indexes, Postgresql indexes. It is a very important topic. For those of you who doesn't know how the queries in Postgresql works, let me give you some introduction. Now, when you do a query, for instance, a select query, I'm looking for this data, for this last name. This last name happened to be in this table. This table consists of 1 million record, but this value is available at the row number 900,000. So, in general, any query, it will start scanning the table, starting with row number 1, tuple number 1, and then it will start scanning each and every column cell, and then it will start with row number 2, and so on, row number 3, so on, and goes up to row number 900,000, where the data I'm looking for resides, where the data I'm looking for is available. So this name is available at row number 900,000. So the scan process will start from number 1 up to row number 900,000, so it can fetch for me this data. Now obviously this is a very expensive way. Expensive in terms of consuming your resources, the CPU, the memory, sometimes even the internet bandwidth. Now for a small table which consists of hundreds of thousands of records, that might not be an issue, but for tables and databases that consist of millions, tens of millions and hundreds of millions of records, that could be a big problem. That could be a very big resources consuming process. Now, how to avoid this thing? How to make our database performance much better and faster and less expensive? The way is to use the indexes. The indexes is just an entry point to a certain column in a table. That's it. That's the whole point of the index. It's an entry point to a certain column. Be careful, it's a certain column in a table. Now, index will speed up the result. How? It will limit the number of the pages in a table that should be scanned looking for a certain data when we do query without index. So that's how the index will speed up the process. It will limit the number of the pages that should be scanned looking for a certain data when we do query without index. How does this happen? Now, the first step, there are few steps we will talk about. The first step is that we create an index. Creating an index syntax is a very simple thing. Now, remember, I will not go deep with the indexes because this is just PostgreSQL basics, so I'm not going deep with these things. But the basic syntax to create an index is this one: create index, give it a name on schema, table name, and then the column name. This will create an index on this column. This will create an index on this column. This is the first thing. The second thing is that this index, the first process, will copy each and every column, each and every data row in each row. So the index, the process number 1, will copy all the data that's available in this column. Process number 2, this copied data will be written to a file, to a separate file by the name index table file. Index table file. Index table file will consist all the data of this column, only this column. So that file, that separate file, index table file, will consist only the data of the index column. Number 3, this file, the index file, will be saved into the hard disk. This is process number 3. So this index table file will be saved into hard disk of your machine. This is the process, and now you might wonder which column that we should select as an index column. I mean, which column I should select, which column could be the candidate to become an index of my table, or an index column, or an indexed column. The question, it's a good question, and the answer is very simple. Let's consider these two tables. These two tables, one of them saves the data of a user's and the other one is a table for the login. Now let's say every website, or when you want to log into your email, to your website account, you usually use two things: your email and your password. Your email and your password. So every user, when he wants to log in, he or she must use the email and must use the password. Okay, that gives me the answer. The answer here, the most frequent column that's been used was the email, this column. So this column will be the candidate to become the index column because it's the most frequent use. So if I want to speed up the process of lookup on the login process, you want to speed it up, then I have to place an index on this column. So when the user wants to log in, instead of looking up all these data in these columns, I will just look up onto this column. Now remember, the index table file consists of only one column data. So the original table consists of all these columns data, but the index table file consists of only one column data, So when I want to do this query, I have to go through all these data. But when I have to go a query with an index, I will go to the index table file, and which has only one column data, and I will query it. Obviously, this will enhance the performance, it will speed up the performance, and also it will cost me less in terms of the machine or the server resources. That is for the CPU, the memory, and even the bandwidth. So this is the way how the index is improving the performance of our queries and fetching the data from any table.